Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how you can make a custom louver for your car. The first thing I did was use masking tape to outline the car window. This gave me a rough idea of the louver shape without having to do a lot of measuring. I took the picture of the tape as perpendicular to the window and close to center as possible. I knew early on that this project would have a lot of research and development, so my first louver model was basically a rough draft. And future models were created from this model as the information developed through trial and error. After I had the picture of my taped window, I was ready to begin the 3D solid model of my louver. Keep in mind that I also accounted for the curvature of the window, as you will see depicted in the early modeling process. The first thing I did was import my picture with a 1:1 scale into the Fusion 360 software. From there, I created an outline from the picture. I then created a surface from the outline and added a sketch perpendicular to the plane that represented the window curvature. I extruded the surface using the curve as a guide, and I made sure to add extra material for the fin cuts. The fins of the louver would need to be spaced correctly for my model, so I created a sketch on the original base plane to act as a guide for the fin extrusion sketch. I drew a sketch of the fin positions and extruded them using the curved construction line as a guide. I put taper on the top and bottom of the louvers to give an aerodynamic, aesthetic look to the louver. And then I finished it off by slotting the holes and filleting the edges. As you can see, my first design had straight edges and was pretty basic. This would evolve to fit the window perfectly in future revisions. Once finished with the model in Fusion 360, I had to create an STL file to export and load the model into the Simplify 3D software. You'll notice that the slicer simulation that I show is from a revised louver that I created to have the actual contour of the window frame with only one flat edge that I use for my table base. I set up the extrusion parameters for ABS plastic as it's the preferred plastic to use for louvers due to its high tensile strength, resistance to physical impacts, and its tolerance for adverse environmental conditions. Once the parameters were set, I added supports, simulated the extrusion path, and uploaded the code to the CR10 3D printer. My first print started strong, but eventually turned out less than perfect as it had material separation brought on by excessive shrinkage of the ABS plastic. I had an open air system, and although okay for PLA plastic, it wasn't the right environment for printing large ABS plastic models. I knew after a few tries that I would need an enclosure to keep the plastic from having extreme temperature fluctuations during extrusion, and in return increase the chances of a successful print. I thought about making my own printer case, but after looking online, I decided to go with an enclosure from Printed Solid. I added a fluorescent light, and I was ready to try it out. The first thing I needed to do was make custom filler plates to reduce the size of the wiring harness and filament holes to keep as much ambient heat inside the box. With the filler plates completed and in place, it was time to try out a new print. The first louver print that I made in the enclosure started out okay, but eventually failed near the top. I wasn't sure at first what caused this, but I decided it was due to the higher ambient temperature of the enclosure causing the original parameters that I used for the model to fail. I adjusted a few parameters and decided to add a removable stabilizing fin to the back of the model to decrease the chance of vibration. The stabilizing fin worked like a charm and the print was a success.
So this was my very first attempt at a louver. It came out pretty nice. See if I could. You guys weren't expecting that, were you? Actually, it was my first attempt though. I just scaled it down. Actually, the rest of these are my other attempts. Basically just laid these out so you guys can see how the design stage changed. You can see the difference between these two. How the radius has got bigger. The tip actually got larger. The fin. And just all in all better quality. This was the final design, and all in all it came out pretty decent. Obviously there's room for improvement, but not bad. So guys, just wanted to show you a lot of plastic is actually used in research and development on creating these louvers. Just wanted to show you it's not without cost. Small price to pay for success though.
If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions about the process, leave a comment and I will reply ASAP. Have a good one.